were prepping for this, one of the references was millennials, and let's face it, as you had said to me earlier, by 2025, the millennials will be 75% of the workforce. And folks, if 2025 sounds a long way away, it's less than 10 years at this point. And think of how quick the last 10 years have gone, and think of all the changes. It will be here before you know it. So let's dig a little deeper. When you say attract and retain the best of the best, what do you mean by that?
So the millennial population is driving a lot of this focus on culture. And culture embodies fun, it embodies emotional intelligence in the workplace, a lot of things that are very topical and timely today. But millennials, by their nature, are smart, fast, but they want flexibility and they want culture. They will choose culture over compensation and benefits given other things are equal, right? So they like to have fun, and they've also seen over the years their parents that went that traditional route and worked in corporate America might not have worked out all that well for their parents. They got laid off or cut loose, so they tend to change quickly, right? So they'll move from job to job. So it's a concern for a lot of companies that, number one, we need to attract these people, so we need to create an environment that's conducive to them, flexible, collaborative, fun. And then to retain them, we really need to engage them, to make them feel that they're part of something, bigger, better, not just the job and collecting the proverbial paycheck. So a lot of our customers are highly focused on that piece. It's retention and recruitment of getting the best and brightest and keeping them there. So,
and it's so amazing because we went through the financial crash and crisis of 2008, 2009, and the odd part about history is history would almost lead us to believe that it would have turned millennials into a more to wanting the stability more and less fun. Yet it seems to have done exactly the opposite. It seems to have just heightened their sense of, look, this could go away at any minute. I'm not really overly concerned about the money because I could always, shack up with 3 of my friends and, and eat ramen noodles. I mean, it's kind of an extension of the college life, so to speak. I mean, eating ramen noodles every night. But that, life is so short, and there was nothing they could have done about the financial crisis. And, so why sit there and worry about the big check and be really grumpy and upset when you're at a job? Why not have fun? Because if it's going to come and you're going to lose everything anyway, then at least you had fun doing it, right?
yeah. Yeah, and we have quite a few millennials that work in our company, and I love them because they are wicked smart, wicked fast, and I see how they how they work. It's different, and we do have that collaborative, fun space, obviously that we work within. So it's an exciting time. I really do. I think it's a win-win for the companies and the employees because there's no downside to having fun or changing your culture in a positive way. There's absolutely no downside. It can only be beneficial. So I see this revolution coming, and it really is a bit of a revolution, but in the best sense of the word because it truly is a win-win.
Yeah, that's epic. And folks, if you haven't watched the whole episode, you've got to go back and watch the heroes, Nick's hero's journey, because you'll get a greater understanding and greater appreciation for why when Nick says there's a revolution coming, he knows because he's seen things before and he's been on the bleeding edge of things before. He's an innovator. He's I'm trying to think of a better word, but I'll say an innovator and just I don't want to say a future seer because that sounds way too woo-foo and that sounds way too ethereal. But the fact of the matter is that Nick looks at the trends and can spot things like this. So it's something that's why you got to listen to him. The other thing I love that I just heard and just found out is the fact that, as they used to say in the old Hair Club for Men days, he's not only the president, he's a client, meaning he's got millennials working for him. So he's smart enough to say, look, if we're going to appeal to this, let's get them on board and have them be a part of this so we can keep up with everything. And I would ask you that. I mean, do you find that having them on board? I know it's a positive because obviously, if they weren't a positive, they wouldn't be there. Just from knowing you, the time I have, I can understand that. But do you find it's an even more positive for your business where it helps you stay even more ahead of the curve and helps you really understand what it's going to take to attract and retain the best of the best?
Yeah, we definitely see that as the case. We hire directly out of the leadership curriculum at local university, and we teach a graduate level course there, the fund department, and the gentleman who heads up that department kind of feeds us the best of the best in this leadership group. So um, what they do is they make a choice to come to work for us amongst a lot of other options, right? Because these are the best of the best. They're future leaders. But I'm amazed that they're sometimes coming to work for this, because we're still a relatively small company, but they love our culture. They love what we're about. And we are not paying what some of these other companies are. We just, not in that place yet where we're, paying big salaries. But we've got an amazing culture and a great work ethic. We're highly productive, but we have fun. So I'm seeing it firsthand for sure that the people that work with us are amazing, very, very smart, very driven, very passionate, and it's exciting because they also are passionate about other things, being socially conscious in the community and doing good things in the environment. So I think it's an exciting population. So I embrace the millennials.
Epic, and hidden inside what you just said, I think everybody needs to pick out. There was a super golden nugget there. You said we don't pay, as basically we don't pay as much as everybody else, and it was kind of like, because I'm guessing some people are thinking, well, these guys just pay these people more and they're going to come. You treat people, I'm going to assume you treat people fair and they're making a fair wage and everything, so it's not like the old days of of basically where the employer made all the money and the employees made nothing, which was why unions were formed. But it's not, you're proof positive that money isn't everything for getting people to a place of employment. I've been struggling with not mentioning one thing the entire time because every being in Philadelphia, every time you mention culture, all I can think of is what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles right now and culture versus scheme. And I pray that culture outweighs scheme really quickly. I'm hoping by the time, as you know, that we're recording this live in front of a studio audience of a lot of people, or cats anyway. But the fact of the matter is, by the time you see this, let's hope the Eagles have turned it around and we have another thing where proof where culture beats scheme. Um, but it is very, very interesting because from a professional football level, to digress for a quick second, they've done the same thing in Philadelphia and it's worked for 2 years and they're struggling as we're recording. They're still struggling right now, but it's the same exact thing. And if millionaires and people who are used to making a boatload of money can do it, you can do it in your own business. I mean, Nick and Nat are proof of it. The comment, and I'm going to ask you because I'm sure you have an example and you're more important than this story. But the comment from some of the top players who decided to sign with the Eagles this year for less money was they came here for the culture and they came here for the possibility of winning a championship. Do you have any? And I know this one's really going to blindside you because this one we didn't prep for. Is there any example you can give me where to really hone this all up, where an employer came back to you and said, "Hey," and you don't have to name the company if you want to, you can, but said, "Hey, Nick, look, we got this kid who came here and said he got, or maybe if it's your own company, we got this kid, this new employee that said they got offers much bigger from other companies, but they came here specifically because of this, and now we're so happy because this kid's a rock star."
Yeah, so there's a great example I can share from a company that we are starting to work closely with called the Good Jobs. And what they're doing is that they are focused on culture and attracting and retaining the best employees, and they award badges for companies. So they have to qualify. There's a fun badge, there's a green badge, for doing things, environmentally friendly. There's a learning and development badge. So these different things, because that's what they and all of their research realize, that that's what this generation is all about, is they want culture. It's the number one word in business today. In print and in speaking, the number one word is culture. So, and why is that? Because it's driving business results, right? People who are doing it effectively are seeing the benefits and the results. And one statistic that I think is great is that the S&P 500 companies that have great cultures, they're outperforming the S&P 500 2 to 3 times. So people like Warren Buffett are investing in companies with culture. That's really, they don't care about gadgets or widgets or what these companies are making. If they've got a good culture, then they're going to be successful, or they're going to be more successful than their competitors. So, again, good question, and culture will win at the end of the day.
Epic. And as we say in Philly, culture beats scheme. So, and I think that's a good place to kind of wrap this all up and tell you how you can contact Nick and Nat. And for those of you who bet the under, we're going to wrap up that poll at this point. You win for betting the under. I have no clue what you won. I'm hoping you made a bet amongst yourselves. So thank goodness I got through this and referred to Nick only as Nat once. Thank you. Thank you. I think I might be getting better. Man, Nick, it has been an incredible honor to have you on the show today. I mean, I talk about epic guests, and I really pride myself on bringing on epic guests. And you are, and it's funny, you're so epic at everything you've talked today. I'm kind of speechless, and this is where I've got to think of a new word for uber epic. I mean, maybe that is the word, but man, you just shared so much knowledge, and I love the fact that you, in your hero's journey, you looked at what was going to happen and made the changes and were on the bleeding edge of thing and had the courage to do it. That's what makes an innovator. That's what makes a successful person. If you're just tuning in right now, go watch Nick's hero's journey, because you're going to get a lot out of it. And if you're just tuning in right now and you're a company or a corporation, or even a small business, anywhere that has employees, and realize that you've got to do something better. Realize that, as they say in the sports world, culture beats scheme. Realize that culture is what you need in your company to take your company to the next level. If you want to be on the level of Google and Zappos and Southwest and those companies who you hear about all the time for culture, then you definitely want to watch the Expert Focus segment, dig a little bit deeper into what Nick and Nat at the fund department have got going on. Realize that I can tell you from personal experience, they have learned from the best, and they got the best people to input at the beginning of the company, and then have taken this thing to a whole nother level. So before we kind of roll on out of here, folks, the website's on the screen, the phone number's on the screen. You've got to get in touch with Nick today. You've got to reach out. You've got to talk to this guy. He's an expert in the field, and that's not him saying it. That's me saying it. I brought him my expert showcase because he's an epic guy and they've got an epic company. Nick, as I take a breath, before we roll on out of here, is there anything you want to leave our audience with today?
Well, I just want to thank you, Chris. You're a fun guy. You get it, right? So, I just think I would just encourage people to just, start somewhere. Start small. We like it if, people want to do business with us, great. If they want to do it on their own, that's great too. Just do it, because it makes, great business sense. And it's good for the world, right? Everybody wants to have a little more fun. So I thank you for being on the show. It's been fun for sure, and look forward to talking with you again in the future.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot, Nick. Everybody, have some fun. Go to thefunddepartment.com. Get in touch with Nick. And until we see you again, make it an epic day. To watch the rest of this epic episode now, click on the link below the video. Do it now. You'll be glad you did. Are you still here? What are you waiting for? Watch the rest of this epic episode now by clicking on the link below the video.